Welcome back. Here is our next video from CA Final Law ICA booklet on MCQs and case-based scenarios. Question number 11. Due to non-compliance to certain requirements under the Companies Act 2013, not amounting to fraud, a company was required to restate its financial statements for the financial year 16-17 during the current year. After the financial statements were restated, it was found that the managing director of that period is now retired, was paid an excess remuneration to the extent of 5 lakhs. State whether the excess amount is recoverable. Is that recoverable? Yes, it is recoverable. Let me just take you through this thing. See, excess of remuneration if paid to a director. If any director draws or receives excess remuneration than the limits prescribed in section 197, or without the approval required under this section, such director shall refund such sums to the company within 2 years or a lesser period as may be allowed by the company. Until such sum is refunded, he shall hold it in trust for company. So it needs to be refunded to the company, right? So excess amount shall be recovered. It doesn't matter whether he is in the current managerial position or not. Okay, so nothing can be recovered is wrong option, because that is the section itself is saying that it can be recovered, and option B says excess amount shall be recovered irrespective of whether he is an MD or not. Yes, that is the correct option. And option C and option D are saying only a part of the excess amount that was paid to the director can be recovered, which is not correct. Therefore, excess amount shall be recovered irrespective of whether that he is an MD or not. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Capable Limited appointed Mr. Vikas as the managing director of the company. The board of directors entrusted him with some powers. Mr. Vikas is not ready to do administrative tasks authorized by the board of directors, keeping in view that he shall be entrusted with substantial powers of management. Decide the acts which Mr. Vikas can undertake. So we'll go through which are the substantial powers of management, and we'll decide this question. Okay. See, here you go. Section 2, subsection 54 clarifies that substantial powers of the management shall not be deemed to include the power to do such tasks or such administrative acts as a routine nature when so authorized by the board, such as the power to affix a common seal to any document, or to withdraw or endorse any check on the account of a company in any bank, or to draw and endorse any negotiable instrument, or to sign a certificate of share, or to direct registration of transfer of a share. Now check, draw and endorse is there. Draw and endorsing of a check and a negotiable instrument is there. Signing and a certificate of share is also there. So which kind of acts that Mr. Vikas can undertake is option B, sign the financial statements of the company. Hope you are clear with this. We'll move on to the next question. You are a whole-time director of Choco Chips Private Limited and wishes to appoint Mr. Vanilla as its MD, the managing director, who has attained the age of 72 years. However, the board has got to know about the fact that no company shall appoint or continue the employment of any person as managing director, whole-time director, or manager who is below the age of 21 years or has attained an age of 70 years. You are requested by the board to evaluate the situation and suggest whether he can be appointed as a managing director. Whether he can be appointed? Yes, he can be. See, a requirement of special resolution for appointment of a person above the age of 70 years. There is a relaxation in case of a person above the age of 70 years. Accordingly, when a person has attained the age of 70 years, he may still be appointed to such office if special resolution is passed in this respect. So, the correct option to this question is yes, he can be appointed through a special resolution. That is option C is the correct option. Hope you are clear with this. And then we'll move on to the next question. Mr. A was appointed as a manager of PQR Limited for the period of 5 years on 20th of June 2015. Considering his performance and dedication before completion of his tenure, management decided to reappoint him as a manager, on which date his reappointment will be considered as valid. I just wanted you to go through the simple point. See, tenure, section 196, subsection 2. Just go through the second point. It is further provided that no reappointment shall be made earlier than 1 year before the expiry of his term. So the maximum term is 5 years and reappointment cannot be made earlier than 1 year of expiry of his term. Now, in the current situation, his appointment is made on 20th of June 2015. From here, you need to count 5 years. That means that his term will end on 19th of June 2020. Correct? So, 1 year from the expiry of his term, that is last 1 year, is coming to 19th of June 2019. Hope you are clear. So, any reappointment that is made on or before 19th of June 2019 is invalid, as the Act provides that reappointment shall be made only in the last year of his term. Therefore, a date which is after 19th of June 2019 shall be the effective date. Therefore, 24th of June 2019 is the correct option. That is, on that date, his reappointment shall be deemed to have been effective. Hope you are clear. Any date after 19th of June 2019. So the only date that we have is 24th of June 2019. We'll move on to the next question. Lockwood Safety Gas Private Limited pays remuneration to its directors on yearly basis. Company has a whole-time director on board. Currently, they appointed Mr. X as a managing director of the company. Now, company has to keep in mind that overall remuneration to the directors, including managing director, whole-time director, and manager, shall not exceed maximum limit mentioned under the Act. If there is more than one managing director, whole-time director, or a manager, how much maximum remuneration is allowed in the financial year? Let us quickly go through the study material. See, if there are more than one managing director, whole-time director, manager, then the maximum allowed, the overall limit of managerial remuneration is 10% of the net profits of the company. In case if the limit is exceeded, that is, if it is more than 10%, then company in its general meeting has to pass a special resolution for approving of the same. Therefore, in the present case, see, it is clear if it is more than one managing director, then it is 10% of the net profits. Hope you are clear with this. Option C is the correct option for 15th question. Let's move on to the next question. Amarco Company Limited, a company incorporated under the Companies Act 2013, wants to appoint Mr. Ashwin as a whole-time director of the company. Mr. Ashwin travels to abroad for other business commitments and usually resides outside India for a period of 12 months. Now, Mr. Ashwin wants to know the eligibility conditions with respect to the condition of resident in India for the appointment of whole-time director. You are a qualified chartered accountant and a dear friend to Mr. Ashwin is required to help him out considering the provisions of Companies Act. Note, Amarco Company Limited is a company established in Special Economic Zone. Okay, just keep this in mind. And now we'll move on to the provisions of the Companies Act with regard to appointment or eligibility of being appointed as a whole-time director. The fourth condition is he is a resident of India. Explanation 1 clarifies that resident in India includes a person who has been staying in India for a continuous period of not less than 12 months immediately preceding the date of his appointment as a managerial person and has come to India for taking up employment in India or for carrying out a business or vacation in India. Therefore, any person for being appointed as a whole-time director should be a resident in India for at least 12 months immediately preceding the date of appointment. But in the present case, the company is located in CES. Now we'll go to explanation number 2. Explanation 2 clarifies that the condition above shall not apply to companies in special economic zones. Now, since Amarco Company Limited is located in Special Economic Zone, Mr. Ashwin is not required to comply with the same. Now we'll move on to the options. Mr. Ashwin shall be a resident in India, that is, staying in India for a continuous period of not less than 12 months immediately preceding the calendar year in which he can be appointed as a whole-time director. If Amarco Company Limited is located in any other area apart from CES zones, then option A is the correct option. But the question is clear that Amarco Company Limited is a company located in CES. Therefore, option A is wrong because for a CES unit, this particular provision is not applicable. Option B says Mr. Ashwin is not required to comply with the condition of resident in India as the condition of staying in India for a continuous period of not less than 12 months immediately preceding the calendar year does not apply to a company established in special economic zone. That's it. This is the correct option. And option C is also saying the same thing like option A. But still we'll go through. Mr. Ashwin should be a resident in India for staying in India for a continuous period of not less than 12 months immediately preceding the date of his appointment as a whole-time director. Option A is saying calendar year, here it is saying 12 months. Both are not correct. Option D says Mr. Ashwin is not required to comply with the condition of resident in India as a condition of staying in India for a continuous period of not less than 12 months immediately preceding the date of his appointment does not apply to the company established in special economic zone. So what is the difference between option B and option C? Have you guys observed? Is there any difference? Yes, there is a difference. Option B says of not less than 12 months immediately preceding the calendar year. But the provision says immediately preceding the date of his appointment. So that is the reason why I intentionally said that option B is the correct option. I want you to identify this particular difference. See, option D is clearly specifying 12 months immediately preceding the date of his appointment, which is the correct provision. But as a student, you will be tempted to choose option B because you won't even read the other two options, so that you will be getting some doubt. See, I have read all the four options, so now I got a doubt. What is the difference between option B and option D? If you haven't read all the four options in examination, then you will be in a danger zone. You need to read each and every point to what have been given in the question, what is the provision, what is the correct option. Hope this particular question will open your eyes. Okay, option D is the correct option in this question. Question number 17. F&I Limited, a listed company under the Companies Act 2013, has Mr. Abhishek as Chief Financial Officer of the company. Mr. Abhishek has been in full-time employment at F&I Limited. Now, Mr. Abhishek has been offered to be a whole-time director at MN Limited, in which more than 51% of the paid-up share capital is held by FI Limited. Mr. Abhishek seeks your advice whether he can proceed with the offer of whole-time director considering the provisions of the Act. Yes, he can go because MN Limited is a subsidiary of FI Limited. Hope you are clear. Because FI Limited is holding more than 51% of the paid-up share capital. So, Mr. Abhishek may proceed with the offer of whole-time director in a subsidiary company. Because it is a subsidiary company, he may he may proceed with the offer. Now we'll go through the options. Option A says Mr. Abhishek may proceed with the offer of full-time director at MN Limited, as key managerial personnel shall not be disentitled from being a whole-time director in any company after obtaining the permission of board of directors of a file company. No, there is no such provision as to getting a permission from the board of directors. Therefore, option A is wrong. We'll move on to the next option. Mr. Abhishek shall not be able to proceed with the offer as a whole-time director at MN Limited. As a whole-time key managerial personnel shall not hold in more than one company at the same time. So this is not wrong. This is wrong because a company and its subsidiary will be under the same group. Therefore, even if you are a key managerial personnel in a holding company, you may proceed to accept an appointment as a whole-time director in your subsidiary company. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. But if this provision will create a conflict if they are two different companies, no two companies are relating to each other. Since in the current question both the companies are in the relation of holding and subsidiary, Mr. Abhishek may proceed with the offer. Okay. Option C says Mr. Abhishek may proceed with offer of full-time director at MN company, as that company is a subsidiary of FI company. Yes, this is the correct option. Option D says Mr. Abhishek shall not be able to proceed with the offer of full-time director as a whole-time key managerial person and shall not hold office in more than one company at the same time, including its subsidiary company. This is wrong. Including its subsidiary company is not there, but to the extent at the same time in a different companies is correct. But here, holding company and subsidiary company will not be treated as a different company. They are the same one. Therefore, option C is the correct option. We'll move on to the next question. Hasmukh Limited incorporated under the Companies Act have been a whole-time director Mr. Ram, who has been reappointed in the annual general meeting held on 28th of August 2019. Mr. Ram has served as a whole-time director of the company for nearly 4 years, and his tenure of office would expire on 24th of December 2020. Further, the company's upcoming AGM is scheduled to take place on 25th of October 2019. In the said AGM, Mr. Ram has been reappointed as the whole-time director of his last tenure. For his last tenure, you are required to comment about the validity of the reappointment of Mr. Ram by the company. We have already read that appointment can be made only, further reappointment should be made in the last year of before the expiry of his term. That is, if it is further provided that no reappointment shall be made earlier than 1 year before the expiry of his term. That is what the question is asking. They have appointed him on 28th of August 2019 for 5 years, and the said term will expire on, which is going to expire on 24th of December 2020. So 1 year backward from 24th December 2020 will come to 23rd of December 2019. So any reappointment, any resolution that is passed for reappointment of Mr. Ram after 23rd of December 2019 will be effective, will be valid. Any reappointment of Mr. Ram before 23rd of December 2019 is invalid, because the provision itself is providing for reappointment only during the last year of his term. Okay, since the company is scheduled its AGM on 25th of October 2019, which is much before than 23rd of December 2019, is invalid. So his reappointment on AGM held on 25th of October 2019 shall not be considered as valid. Hope you are clear. So it has been said that by 28th of August, Mr. Ram has nearly completed 4 years of his tenure. It is not clear, it is not clearly specified that he has completed the 4 years. It is saying nearly completed 4 years of his tenure. And when will his tenure expire? His tenure will expire on 24th of December 2020. So the provision is saying you can reappoint key managerial personnel only during the last year of their term. So if the term is ending on 24th of December 2020, 1 year backward from this date is 23rd of December 2019. If any reappointment made after 23rd of December 2019, it will be considered as valid, since this AGM is held on 25th of October 2019, which is prior to the date of 23rd of December 2019 is invalid. Hope you are clear. So we'll move on to the options. The reappointment of Mr. Ram is valid. No, it is not valid. Option C is also saying it is valid. So option A and option C are not the correct options. We should consider option B and option D. The reappointment of Mr. Ram is invalid in law, as reappointment cannot be made earlier than 1 year before the expiry of his term. Yes, this is the correct option. But still, we'll go through the option D. The reappointment of Mr. Ram is invalid in law, as no special resolution for reappointment has been passed at the AGM for approving the same. No, this is not the correct provision. The correct provision is no reappointment shall be made earlier than 1 year before the expiry of his term. Therefore, option B is the correct option. We'll move on to the next question. MDH Masala Enterprises Limited, a public company incorporated under the Companies Act 2013, is into the business of various chaat masalas used in daily food items. Mr. Vinayak was appointed as a Chief Financial Officer of a company on 2nd of July 2017 by the Board of Directors. In the upcoming board meeting scheduled on 30th of April 2020, Mr. Rinkesh, aged 55, was appointed as a Managing Director of the company. The Board of Directors also made a reappointment of another term of 3 years in the said meeting. Further, in the annual general meeting of the company held on 30th of June 2020, the appointment of Rinkesh was approved by the company, and the members also noted the reappointment of Mr. Vinayak as Chief Financial Officer for another term of 3 years. You are required to state whether the reappointment of Mr. Vinayak is valid in law. What do you think? See, appointment of key managerial personnel and the tenure of key managerial personnel is to be decided by the Board of Directors. There is no particular provision as to a fixed term of years. Hope you are clear with this. But appointment of a managing director, whole-time director, manager, there is a specified limit of a tenure, that is the 5 years. But for CFO, CEO, whole-time company secretary, for all these persons, like key managerial personnel, is not having any tenure specification. It is to be decided by the Board of Directors. If they feel to appoint for 3 years, 10 years, it's up to them. Okay. Now we'll move on to the options. Yes, the reappointment of Mr. Vinayak is valid in law, as the Board of Directors may appoint him for such term as it thinks fit. Yes, this is the correct option. We'll move on to the other options as well. No, the reappointment of Mr. Vinayak is not valid, as no key managerial personnel shall be reappointed earlier than 1 year before the expiry of his term. No, there is no any such provision as such. Option C says no, the reappointment of Mr. Vinayak is not valid in law, as a reappointment has not been subsequently approved by the company in the general meeting. No, there is no such approvals required. Okay. Option A is the correct option to this question. We'll move on. Question number 20. Good ID Company Limited, a public company incorporated under the Companies Act 2013, is into the business of selling dairy products through online mode. Mr. Dhaval is holding the position of whole-time director in the company. During the financial year ended on March 2020, the office of Mr. Dhaval got vacated on attracting disqualifications under Section 164 of the Companies Act. You are required to advise how shall the Board of Directors fill the vacancy of Mr. Dhaval considering the provisions of Companies Act 2013. 13. So now within how much time they need to fill this vacancy is within 6 months from the date of such vacancy. Let me just take you through. Yes, here you goes. Filling up of vacancy of key managerial personnel KMP. It shall be filled by the board at the meeting of board within a period of 6 months from the date of such vacancy. Hope you are clear with this. So the option is option B, within a 6 months period of 6 months from the date of such vacancy. Okay, that's all. We have completed 20 case study, 20 MCQs in this video. It is getting too long and it will be like no student can concentrate more than 30 to 40 minutes at a time. So I'll be stopping off this video here. We'll continue in the next video. If you find these videos helpful, please do like, share and subscribe to the video so that you will be getting instant notifications of our latest videos. Do share with your friends and help them to revise at the earliest. Thanks for watching.